So you've probably heard investors talk about cash flow, but the real metric that you need to be tracking is NOI. My name is Jordan Schafer with the Thomas Duke Company. Today I wanted to talk to you about how NOI is calculated and what it means for your property. So NOI, it's a pretty basic equation, but really understanding the factors that go into that equation is where some people tend to get lost. The equation itself breaks down, it's pretty simple. NOI is your total rent income minus operating expenses. No mortgage or debt involved, just what it costs to run the property. Now rent's pretty basic, it's pretty straightforward. It's, how much rent are you collecting per year? It's not how much rent you could be collecting per year if the property was fully occupied. It's specifically how much rent are you collecting. So what is included in your operating expenses? So the biggest cost is going to be property tax. So what's included is going to be your property tax. You'll also have property insurance. Property insurance could also have utilities. If, let's say, you have a property that leases at a gross rate that's full service, tenants aren't paying utilities, landlords paying utilities, that's going to factor into your operating expenses. So you have utilities. One of the expenses that we see on an annual basis is repairs and maintenance. So what is not included in the NOI? One of the big pieces to this is going to be debt service or interest. If you have a loan on the property or mortgage on the property, this is not included in this equation. Because when we're looking at NOI, we're trying to create a scenario where anybody can look at this property and understand what the profitability is. If you got the loan a few years ago, it could be very low. If you're getting the loan now, it could be high sixes, low sevens on an interest rate. And that number is always changing, and that is changing with the market. So we don't want to look at that as a benchmark here. Another big piece is going to be depreciation. So one of the benefits of owning real estate, you can depreciate it over time. With a commercial asset, that's going to be 39 years. That is something that, again, is not factored into the NOI, but is a benefit to you as the property owner. Capital expenditures is one piece where I see people kind of screw this up on a regular basis. Let's say they, replace the parking lot, or they replace an HVAC unit, and they just throw that down in the expense column. But ultimately, those items have a lifespan that's longer than a year. So what we need to do is we need to understand what's the lifespan. Let's say it's a roof. Typically 20, 30 years is going to be your lifespan there, depending on, the thickness of the roof, the warranty, stuff like that. Let's see you put that new roof on. Now we need to calculate kind of a lifespan for that and extrapolate it over time. The reason we're so meticulous about this equation is because NOI is essentially a metric for how profitable your building is. And your building is really just a small business, essentially. So if you are looking to sell your property, someone is going to be, at least a qualified buyer, is going to be looking at this equation under a microscope, trying to understand, is this NOI accurate? If it's not accurate, why is it inaccurate? And with those inaccuracies, you might leave yourself susceptible for some type of difficult negotiation regarding your pricing. If you buy a property and you take someone's word that the property is cash flowing, like they say, and you buy the property, and that's not true, you've got a serious problem on your hands, because you were expecting a return of X and now you're getting just a fraction of that. If you're struggling with the math here, we have included a cheat sheet for you below. Click the link, you can download that. And if you have any questions, or maybe you're just a little bit confused as to what applies, what doesn't apply, please give me a call. I'll be happy to walk you through that, and I'll see you on the next video.